It's still strange to think about the fact that Microsoft bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion and the insane impact that it will have on the future. I already did a video where I said that I don't think that some big games like the next Elder Scrolls or Starfield will be a PC and Xbox exclusive, although I could see the next Doom end up like that. The fact remains though that all these games will be day one on Game Pass, and that is a huge advantage over buying a new game for $70 on the PlayStation 5. Sony is doing pretty good leading up to the PlayStation 5 release and has some big games coming in the first year. But it also feels like they have to respond in a way, because I think the long-term plan that Microsoft is now rolling out is pretty incredible at this point. Thanks always for tuning in to the Sunday Your Game Show, where we look at the biggest gaming trends and where I like to make predictions based on research. And this episode we're going to look at Sony's next-gen strategy and what they can potentially do to counter this big Bethesda news. A like on the video would really help the channel out, and let's go. This will be the final Sunday video that you can enter the September giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice. Just follow the link in the pinned comment if you want a chance to win. And you have to be a subscriber of the channel before you enter. I will reach out to the winner via the email and announce it in the next Sunday video. I was able to secure an Xbox Series X pre-order and will be playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on it this holiday and maybe Cyberpunk as well, because I want to benefit from the next-gen features, and I will of course be getting a PS5 as well, but it will be here 9 days later in Europe on November 19th. But to be fair, I'm mostly getting an Xbox for the promising future that Microsoft has laid out. I want the full-on next-gen Fable. Avowed looks very interesting to say the least. And now that Bethesda is also part of Game Pass, the value of that service has increased significantly, and I will likely use my Xbox Series X a lot to play games in my backlog that I did not buy yet, like I did with Doom 2016 earlier this year. And by the way, Doom Eternal is now coming to Game Pass on October 1st. Such an amazing game that came out a few months ago. Like, this is the first of many big steps we will see now that Bethesda is owned by Xbox. But we will really see if it paid off when Starfield comes around in likely 2022. Todd Howard now says that Starfield features the largest engine overhaul since Oblivion. Okay, sounds good, but they also really got something to prove after Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 in a way too, that launched in the same year as The Witcher 3, while obviously running way worse. And now we learned that Sony was reportedly in talks to sign a Starfield PlayStation 5 timed exclusive deal before the Xbox Bethesda buyout. And well, that totally falls in line with Sony's current next-gen strategy. Because as you might know, the two most imminent Bethesda games, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, are PlayStation 5 timed exclusive and will, by the way, remain that way even now that Microsoft owns Bethesda. And we can add Final Fantasy 16 to that list as well. Just like the Final Fantasy 7 remake, it will be a console-timed exclusive and should actually be coming out sooner than we think. Jason Schreier from Bloomberg said in a recent podcast that it's already in development for 4 years, so likely ready before we know it. We will get more info in 2021, as was noted at the end of the trailer, but what if it actually already launched that year too? Sony right now is building an incredible first year for PlayStation 5 in terms of exclusive content. Of course, Ratchet & Clank, God of War and Horizon have to be mentioned, and in terms of third party, it's gonna be Final Fantasy, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo, but we also got Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers. And while, as you likely know, I don't like this deal as it keeps the biggest Marvel character basically away from Xbox and PC, it's still a big thing. And they already announced the GTA Online partnership, where PS Plus subscribers get 3 months access to the multiplayer for free when it finally comes in 2021. In the recent years, Sony has had a way more public relationship with Rockstar than Microsoft, and what if they take it to the next level for this upcoming generation? Okay, maybe not agent level, although of course in the end it turned out to be nothing. But what if they do any exclusivity with GTA 6? We all know the game is coming. In April 2020, we learned that it was actually still in early development, so it's gonna be a while before we see it. But yeah, Xbox had a 1-month exclusivity deal for the GTA 4 DLC. What if Sony gets some sort of deal for the PlayStation 5? Even having GTA 6 or the multiplayer components 1 week early or a beta of some sorts would already be huge for likely the biggest game on the planet. And while super expensive, I don't think that that is out of the realm of possibilities. This next generation seems to be a war of the third-party exclusives, because if Bethesda games end up not coming to PlayStation 5, while obviously the previous games in those series did, I do think that that counts. And while I still don't believe that they will do it for Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 and any future Fallout title, the quote from Phil Spencer does make me believe that it could really go both ways. Phil Spencer namely said that they want the Xbox ecosystem to be absolutely the best place to play, and we think that game availability is absolutely part of it, as put together by Xbox News on Twitter, by the way. And many prominent Xbox reporters who have their sources like Jess from Windows Central also seem to be sure that, for example, Starfield will be an exclusive and not come to PlayStation. So then these types of quote-unquote third-party exclusives will be even more important for Sony as well. We got new rumors that they might have a Metal Gear Solid remake planned as a PS5 console exclusive, so like a full-on remake. And while again it's still a rumor, it does make sense that Konami wants to do something with the IP. And I'm sure they're looking at the success of the Resident Evil remakes. Of course, also the fact that Kojima is gone, so making a new title would be way tougher and will likely never be as good, also makes a Metal Gear remake make way more sense. Could Sony be buying more studios like they said they were open to it? I think it's shocking that they still haven't bought Bluepoint. Looking at the Demon's Souls remake, it looks insane. There's so much potential for other remakes they could do. I still think that Techland behind Dying Light seems like a perfect fit for both Microsoft and Sony. Earlier this year they said that they weren't being bought, but it still seems like a good candidate. Like, Microsoft is also saying that they're still open to buy more studios. Like, gaming is booming, it seems to only grow, so it makes sense that both parties are looking into investing more instead of like building a new studio, which of course is way harder. There are some smaller possibilities like Supermassive Games behind Until Dawn and the upcoming horror games in the Dark Pictures series. Remedy could one day be bought, maybe not for the foreseeable future because they got some ongoing deals, but I can totally see them one day be part of Microsoft or Sony. But another thing that Sony could do, and they are actually already actively doing, is invest more in the big studios they already have. A great example is Guerrilla Games that now has 2 teams working simultaneously on 2 separate projects. Like, we know that Matthijs de Jonge is a game director on Horizon Forbidden West, while of course being the game director on Horizon Zero Dawn as well. So what is Simon LaRouche, a game director at Guerrilla Games, then working on? He says that his project is still secret. I still think it's the Horizon multiplayer mode that was rumored. Ghost of Tsushima is of course getting the co-op treatment with Legends, and The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer also seems to be bigger than the original or the Uncharted multiplayers that came before it. We're really seeing a trend where Sony is looking at ways to expand their franchises from being more than only a single player adventure and also become multiplayer experiences, something that Microsoft has way more of and Sony is kinda lacking. And Sony also wants to increase the value of PlayStation Plus, and I'm sure that with the release of the Ghost of Tsushima Legends mode, more people who usually don't play multiplayer games will subscribe to the service. And the PlayStation Plus collection is another great example of giving people more value by being a subscriber of the service. And by actually getting a PlayStation 5 as well, because I'm sure there are multiple games that you missed from the PS4 generation that you can now simply play by being a subscriber of PlayStation Plus. But of course, compared to Microsoft, Sony still has a long way to go in terms of value for the same amount of money. Xbox actually made fun of Sony in a way because the upgrades they make to Forza Horizon 4 and Gears of War 5, like Gears, will now be playable on 120 FPS on Series X. Like, all the upgrades will be free, while Sony is asking $20 on top of the Miles Morales price for the remaster of Spider-Man PS4. Like sure, it also comes with 3 new outfits and new trophies, but overall it's still pretty anti-consumer looking at how Microsoft is handing out free upgrades for their exclusives. Like let me at least just buy Spider-Man Remastered on the PlayStation 5 without forcing me to get Miles Morales. A good performing Microsoft will be great for people on PlayStation as well. We are still in the early game of all this. I think 2021 will still be pretty bare bones for Xbox compared to PlayStation 5. But once the Bethesda games are ready and other Xbox game studios are releasing their titles, including that new game from The Initiative, Microsoft's potential Naughty Dog level studio, looking at the talent they keep on hiring. Recently they got people from Bungie and Crystal Dynamics. And we also got Drew Murray, the design director, actually giving the controller to his daughter for 1 hour. And if everyone's reaction will be the same as hers, then it could be a pretty big game. And it will then also come to Game Pass day 1, just like all the other Microsoft titles, and they can be played everywhere thanks to xCloud. Sony has to have an answer to this, and really asking people to rebuy a game looks extra bad in this context. But don't get me wrong, Xbox still has a long way to go. They're really in that greatness awaits situation where the PlayStation 4 was in at the start of the PS4 generation, but Sony delivered the great games that they were teasing, and we're still not sure if Microsoft is capable of that. Like, will a Fable game from the Forza Horizon developers be good? Looking at the Halo development, I can totally see why you could have some questions about how they're handling their biggest franchise, looking at the delay and how they're bringing in more people. Microsoft is making the big moves, but they gotta bring the big games as well. And on the other hand, we got Sony, who seems to deliver even more quality titles in the first year of the PlayStation 5 and at a more rapid pace. Combine that with the third-party deals, and I think you got a pretty solid early game plan. But it will be interesting. Like, they cannot buy anything like Bethesda, they don't have the money. So what will it look like 4 or 5 years from now? Maybe when streaming is more prominent as well. Something that Microsoft will likely be at the forefront of. Why buy a console if you can just stream games to your TV? It's going to be fascinating, very interesting to follow. And I, by the way, got a question about Fable from Steven, who asked if Fable will be a next-gen exclusive. And yes, that will be the case. And let me know what you think Sony has to do, who you think they have to buy, or what series do you think they have to revive to counter this big announcement from Microsoft, or maybe they do not have to do anything according to you. Let me know in the comments down below. You can also leave a question that I then might answer in the next Sunday video. And we already answered one, so I want to do a short one from Sita. Which game would you only play coming out in 2020? And then I would of course pick a big game. So right now I'm looking at Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and then I will obviously lean more towards Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's pretty nuts that we're almost in October, so Valhalla is coming out November 10th. We're super close, and this coming week, in the next few days, we get a new video that I will of course be covering here on the channel. So keep it locked for that. It's gonna be awesome, and of course subscribe for way more PlayStation 5 news about other gaming trends, new Sunday videos. A like on the video would really help the channel out. And don't check out my previous video on my initial reaction from the Microsoft buying Bethesda news. For now though, I will speak to you next time, and goodbye.